In other stories, the northern members of member countries of the Northern Corridor are meeting in Kigali for a 5-day meeting to reflect on, among other things, how to increase the public-private partnership in implementation of various projects related to trade and transport facilitation along the corridor. Now, in the studio, I'm joined by Omae Nyarandi, who is the Executive Secretary of the Northern Corridor Transport Coordination, to tell us more about this meeting and what it actually means for the Northern Corridor and regional integration, as a matter of fact. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here.
Thanks. Are you having a good time in Kigali?
Very much.
Yeah?
Very good city.
Thank you. I think the mayor of the city of Kigali needs to hear that. So let's talk about the Northern Corridor. It's a lot of progress is happening in terms of integration, but also equally a lot of setbacks.
Yes.
If you read through what is happening. But let's tell us briefly, what is the situation like, especially in the area of transport and, of course, facilitation of trade in the region?
As you are aware, Northern Corridor and any other corridor, the work is to ensure connectivity, especially to the international markets.
Yeah.
So the Northern Corridor connects the member countries, which includes Rwanda, to the port of Mombasa. And during this period, especially Kenya, which is the host country, election is around the corner.
Oh, yes.
In August.
There's a lot of buzz around it.
Yes, and obviously member countries want assurance that there is going to be security along the corridor, and there is going to be free movement of goods because of the history they have for post-election violence, which happened in 2008. We've had discussions with government at high levels, and they have assured us, and we are assuring member countries, that there is going to be enough security and the goods will move as normal during that direction, during that time. Coming to these other countries, there are some closure of some borders.
Yeah.
You know, even between Rwanda and Burundi, Rwanda has opened the border, but Burundi is yet to open to business. There was the issue of between Uganda and Rwanda, and now the issue between Rwanda and DRC. And you know, the work of the corridor is smooth business and smooth transfer of goods and services and movement of people, which is the mandate of Northern Corridor. And I take this opportunity to tell the policymakers, especially politicians, that when such borders are closed, business goes down and the lives of people, livelihood goes down. So they should ensure that such problems are solved amicably and the business returns to normal. There's a lot of business that goes on cross-border trade, and this needs to continue.
What is the role of the business community in such conflicts, especially making sure that these conflicts actually end? Before I talk about what you actually are doing, but what should the business community do in such incidents? They mentioned Rwanda, Burundi, Rwanda, DRC, you know, and other communities that we've had.
What we have advocated as Northern Corridor is that each border station should have what we call joint border committees, which are composed of both public and private sector on both sides of the border. So they come together to sort out the issues. But when those decisions are made at higher levels, they are left at a loss, because for them, business has to continue. So the business community has to still continue discussing and seeing how to solve out those problems to be able to continue with business.
So tell us, in your area of expertise, let's get out of politics. We hope things are going to get better.
We hope so. We hope so.
Tell us, what, you know, from the time that the Northern Corridor was set up and, of course, the initiative itself in trade facilitation, what have you guys achieved?
A corridor is measured in terms of volume, the cost of moving that volume of goods in the corridor, and transit time. Since the corridor was formed, and if I talk for the past 5 years, you've seen a lot of progress in terms of single customs territory. where you can clear goods in Mombasa and move along the corridor without a lot of stoppages in the border. We've seen a lot of reduction in non-tariff barriers. There used to be a lot of police people along the road creating a lot of delays. This has gone down. We've seen quite a number of efficiencies within the corridor. The number of days the goods take, like a container takes from Mombasa to Malaba, which is the border between Uganda and Kenya. It used to be 7 days to 10 days. Nowadays it takes around 3 days. So there's a lot of progress that has happened within the corridor, including the border stations, one-stop border stations, which the development partners have assisted in constructing.
So very lastly, I know I'll have a lot of questions. Sorry, I'm struggling here. So what brings you to Kigali for this specific meeting of 5 days, and what do you intend to achieve in these 5 days?
In the treaty, it recognizes particular committees and particular meetings, starting with the Council of Ministers, which is the highest, Ministers of Transport, come into the PSS. And then below the PSS, we have technical committees, both in private and public, who come together to discuss the programs that the corridor should undertake to ensure they are efficient. We are here bringing together these committees from all the member countries to discuss programs for the next financial year.
Are you also discussing the railway project from Tanzania through Rwanda to DRC?
No, because the Northern Corridor starts from the port of Mombasa. The Central Corridor, which will be discussing such things like railways and others, for them starts from the port of Dar es Salaam.
Because the reason why I said, because it's also it's going to be a huge boost for the Central Corridor, but it's also going to probably give you a challenge to start something from Mombasa through Uganda. I know there is something like that.
There is already there is SGR from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi, extending to Naivasha, which is 120 kilometers. But let me clarify, we don't see Central Corridor as competitor because we all serve the East African community, the Great Lakes region. We complement each other to ensure that we are all ensuring these countries make progress.
Mr. Omae Nyarandi, the Executive Secretary of the Northern Corridor, quite a number. Secretariat, is that the right one?
Executive Secretary.
Secretariat. He joins us here to tell us about the meeting that is happening in Kigali and much more of what is happening in the region in terms of integration. But you know what is happening, really. Not the best things, but we hope things are going to be getting better. Thank you so much for your time indeed, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.